A very good morning to all of you. So I am Dr. J. Kannan. So I am handling the subject Income Tax Law and Practice 1. So today I discuss about the introductions of income tax. So I am a Department of Commerce and Economics Department. I am working as a Associate Professor in Commerce and Economics Department, Faculty of Arts and Science, Bharat Institute of Higher Education and Research in Chennai. Okay, so I'm discussing about the introductions of income tax. So, Income Tax Act 1961, it is specified the various provisions for determining the taxable income, tax liability procedure for assessment, appeals, penalty, and prospectus. So the Income Tax Act 1961 is very clear. So you can find out the determining the taxable incomes. So what is a taxable incomes? So income, there are 5 heads of income is available. One is income from salary. Another one is income from house property. Another one is income from business and profession. Then income from capital gain. Another one is income from other sources. So these 5 heads of incomes, it is framed by the Income Tax Act 1961 so very clearly. Then it is a contained section 29088 and scheduled that is all income that is called only gross total income minus deduction under section 80C to 80U, the difference value that is called only taxable incomes. Then Income Tax Act 1962, Central Board of Direct Taxes has the power to frame the rules by way of notifications in the official gazettes. Then Financial Act, the Finance Ministry of India, presents a finance bill in the Parliament every year, which consists of various amendments proposed to be made in the direct and indirect taxes. If bill is passed by both houses of Parliament and the assessment of the President of India is received, it becomes the financial bill. Then the proposed amendment are the incorporated in the Income Tax Act, which become applicable from the very first day of the next financial year. Then case loss, the payer can claim the benefit of case loss passed by the Supreme Court and High Court. Then circular and notifications, the CBDT means Central Board of Direct Taxes, are incorporated in the Income Tax Act, which become direction for the proper administration of the Act. Income tax authorities are bound by these circulars. However, the taxpayer can claim the benefit of such circulars. Then this introduction of income tax, the present law of income tax is contained in the Income Tax Act 1961. The Income Tax Act contains the provisions for determination of taxable income, determination of tax liability, procedure for assessment, appeal, penalty, and prosecutions. It is also laid down the powers and duties of various income tax authorities. So the Income Tax Authorities Act is very clear. So this Income Tax Act introduced for the 1961, it is determined for the tax liabilities. The tax liabilities means So those who are earn the income, that person can be paid the taxable. This is called only tax liabilities. Then the procedure for the assessment, appeal and penalties. So income tax person cannot be pay the income tax for the right period. So they should pay penalty recovered from the Central Board of Direct Taxes. Then income tax law comprises the Income Tax Act 1961, the Income Tax Rules 1962, the notifications and circulars issued by the Central Board of Direct Taxes, the Annual Financial Act and judicial pronouncements by Supreme Court and High Courts. So already very clearly the Financial Act. So the Financial Act point of view, the Parliament, the Masuda will be the Parliament assessment for the President of in India. The recover it become the financial bill. Then next one. So what is your tax? So what is your tax? So tax is very important one. So the meaning of taxes. The meaning of taxes. So it is a compulsory levy under certain conditions, and it is meant for the general purpose of the state. The taxes are two types. One is direct taxes, another one is indirect taxes. So once I told you the meaning of taxes, it is a compulsory levy under certain conditions, and it is meant for the general purpose of the state. The taxes are two types. One is direct taxes, another one is indirect taxes. So what is the direct taxes? So direct taxes is nothing but it is a kind of tax wherein incidence and the impact is on the same persons. So direct taxes means it is a kind of taxes wherein incidence of and the impact of the same persons. So what is incidence means? The liable to pay taxes to the government. The incidence means it is a liable to pay tax to the government. Another one is what is the impact? The impact means the burden of the paying taxes. So this is called only direct taxes. So direct taxes means the incidence and the impact is on the same person's face. That is called only direct taxes. For example, income tax and wealth tax, this is called only direct taxes. Another one is indirect taxes. So what is the indirect taxes? It is a kind of tax wherein incidence and the impact is on the two different persons. So direct tax means incidence and the impact is the same person, that is called only direct taxes. Indirect taxes means incidence and the impact is a different type of persons. For example, excise duty and customs duty and VAT. VAT means value added taxes, etc. So if you go to the PPT, so what is a tax means? The tax is a compulsory contribution to state revenue levied by the government on workers. Income and business profits are added to the cost of some goods, services, and transactions. It may be direct taxes or indirect taxes. So another one is the direct taxes means direct tax is a tax such as income tax which is levied on the income or profit of the person who pay it rather than the on goods or services. Then indirect taxes means the levied on goods and services rather than on income or profits. The next stages. So already I told you the tax classified into two types. One is direct taxes, another one is indirect taxes. So already I told you that direct tax means the incidence and the impact is the same person, that is called only direct taxes. For example, income tax, another one is wealth tax. So indirect tax means the incidence and the impact is a different persons. like that excise duty, service taxes, custom duty, and value added taxes. Okay. The next one. So I discuss about the what is assessment year. So what is assessment year? So assessment year is defined as the period of 12 months starting from 1/4 means the 1st April to 31st March in every year. The assessment year, section 2, subsection 9, it is denoted that the income of the previous year is assessed to tax in the assessment year. The present assessment year is 2019 and 20. So assessment year is very clear. The period of 12 months starting from 1st April to 31st March for every year. The 12-month periods. So this starting from 1st April to 31st March. The year you can classify it into so many years you can follows. One is a financial year, one is calendar year, another one is academic years. So academic year, the all educational institutions, they should follow from the only academic years. So every academic year starting from 1st July to 31st June. Calendar year starting from 1st January to 31st December. The financial year starting from 1/4 to 31st March. So every business people, they should follow from only financial year only. Even some non-trading organizations. What is a non-trading organization? The non-trading organization means it is for only service-minded categories. So profit-making concern, they should follow from only financial year because of the main agenda they're making from the profit. But non-trading concerns, the main motto, serve to the society. The serve to the society means only for the service aspect point of view, this concern will be started. So all service people, they should follow from all services people followed for the some service institution, I think some service mentality persons, they should follow from the year of January to December. I think the calendar year they should follow. Okay. The next one, what is the previous year? The previous year, section 3, it is very clear. The previous year is the financial year immediately preceding the assessment year. In other words, the year in which income is earned is known as previous year. The previous year for the assessment year 2018 and 19. So your assessment year 2019 and 20, your previous year 2018 and 19. For example, the previous year, in case of the newly set up business, shall be starting from the date of business and end with the financial year. So what is the meaning means? Suppose you start the new business in the month of 1st August, but your previous year starting from 1/4. But new business aspect point of view, so when you can start the business, this is called your starting the day. So 1st August to end of the year 31st March. So whenever you can start the business, but end of the year for only financial year month you can only follows. Okay. Then next one, what is the assessee? So assessee, as per section 2, subsection 7 of the Act, the assessee means a person by whom any tax or any other sum of money is payable under the Act and includes. Sum of money means, for example, interest they should pay or penalty, etc. The point number 1. the every person in respect of whom any proceeding under this act has been taken for the assessment of his income or assessment of fringe benefits or of the income of any other person in respect of which he is assessable or to determine the loss sustained by him or by such other persons or to determine the amount of refund due to him or such other persons. Then second one, the every person who is deemed to an assessee under any provisions of the act. Then every person who is deemed to be an assessee in default under any provision of the act. I explained them. So assessee, the section 2 subsection 7, the assessee means a person by whom any tax or any other sum is payable under the Income Tax Act 1961. It includes every person is in respect of whom any proceeding under the act has been taken for the assessment of income or any refund due to him, such other persons. Another one is a deemed assessee, another one is deemed assessee is default. Okay. So what is a deemed assessee? I explained for point number 2. I think point number B. So what is a deemed assessee? A person may be liable not only for his own income, but also on the income of other person. For instance, guardian of minor, agent of non-resident, etc. The person responsible for assessment of income of such person is called deemed assessee. So deemed assessee means a person may be liable not only for his own income, but also on the income of other persons. For instance, guardian of minor, agent of non-resident, etc. The person responsible for assessment of income of such person is called deemed assessee. Another one is deemed, point number C, the deemed assessee in default. The deemed assessee in default means the person who has failed to fulfill his statutory obligation. For instance of if the employer failed to deduct the taxes at source from salary income of the employee and pay of the same to the government within the specified time limit, the employer shall be considered as deemed to be assessee in default. So the deemed assessee in default means if employer failed to deduct the taxes at source from salary of income of the employee and pay the sum of the government within the specified time limit, employer shall be considered as deemed to be assessee in default. Okay. Then next one. What is income? What is income? The income section 2 subsection 24 is very clear. Section 2 subsection 24 defined income, which includes the following. The one is profit and gain of business. I think income from business or profession. Second one, dividend. This dividend either Indian company dividend or foreign company dividend, whatever may be. Dividend is a purely income categories. Another one is voluntary contribution received by a trust or institution. This is also income. Another one is perquisites or profit in lieu of salary. Perquisites or profit in lieu of salary. then any special allowances, then other allowances, then value of any benefits, then point number 8, any sum paid by the company in the interest of the assessee. Point number 9, any profit on sale of license granted under the impact of control order of 1955. Point number 10, any case assistance received by the government of India, then any duties or excise against export to be received. Point number 12, any interest, salary, bonus, commission, or remuneration due or received by a partner from his firm. Next one, any capital gain, then insurance profit, then any income from other sources, any contribution towards provident fund or employee state insurance fund, then any sum received under key man insurance policy, including the sum of way of bonus of such policy. So these all type of categories for income categories as per section 2, subsection 24, they will be well defined. Okay, the next one. So what is the diversion of income? The income already told you. I think the 15 to 16 point denoted under section 2, subsection 24 is very clear. The next one, the diversions of income. The diversion of income whereby on obligation, if income is diverted before it reach the assessee, it is diversion of income and not taxable. So diversion of income, it is not a taxable categories. It is called only requisitions. I think the request. Then essential of application of income. If we having the 4 essential of application incomes are available, the one is the income accrued to the assessee. Another one is income reach the assessee. Income reach the assessee. Point number 3, income is applied to discharge on obligation. Another one is such income is fully taxable. The 4 income will be available. Then next one, who's a person? The person is very clear as per section 2, subsection 31. The person including an individual. Another one is Hindu undivided family, a company, a firm, an association of person or body of individuals, whether incorporated or not, a local authority. Another one is every artificial judicial person not falling within any of the above categories. Then I'm discuss about the, so what is gross total income? The section 14, section 14 is very clear. The gross total income is a aggregate of the income computed under various heads of income after allowing set of losses according to the provisions of the Income Tax Act. According to the Income Tax Act. The section 14 dealing with the gross total income. It include income from salary, income from house property, income from profit and gains, I think income from business or profession, income from capital gain, and income from other sources. These 5 heads of income you can add it. This total value that is called only gross total income. Another one is, what is total income? What is total income? The total income, section 5. The income of an assessee is gross total income after making the deduction under section 80C to 80U. Then another one is, what is casual income? What is casual income? An income becomes casual income if it contains the following features. It is anticipated, it is non-recurring in nature, it arises from the unknown sources. No specific efforts were put in to earn such income. For example, winning from lottery, income from crossword puzzles and card games, then tips given to taxi driver, prize awarded from coin or stamp collections. This all type of income that is called only casual income. The casual income tax treatment. The casual income are fully taxable under the heads of income from other sources. Further, in case of winning from lottery exceeding the 10,000 rupees and winning from horse races exceeding for 5,000 are subject to be changes, TDS amount 30% will be deductible. Okay. Then I discuss about the what is agricultural income. What is agricultural income? Agricultural income means rent or revenue derived from an agricultural land situated in India and used for the agricultural purpose. For example, the basic operations like tilling of land, seed planting, harvesting, etc. The income derived from the activities of agriculture or from the marketing process carried out either by the owner himself, I think the received of rent in kind or cultivator. The income from the form of buildings. The exempted of agriculture incomes. The exempted of agriculture incomes. The income from growing and selling the paddy, wheat, flowers, trees, these all agriculture incomes are fully exempted. Sorry, fully say agriculture incomes. For example, examples of agriculture income, income from growing and selling paddy, wheat, flowers, trees. Then insurance money received from agricultural products. Then income from sale of trees. Then the next one, last one, it is a capital and revenue receipt. The capital and revenue receipt. The objectives of the Income Tax Act is to tax only income generally, the revenue receipt, unless specifically exempted. On other hand, capital receipt are not chargeable to tax except when specifically provided in the Act. It may be observed that a receipt in substitution of sources, substitution of a source of income is a capital receipt, while a receipt in substitution of an income is revenue receipt. An amount received as a compensation for surrender of certain rights under agreement is capital receipt, whereas an amount received under an agreement as compensation for loss of future profit is a revenue receipt. So I told you the difference between the capital and the revenue receipt. The point number one, the sale proceed of fixed asset is a capital receipt, whereas The sale proceed of a trading asset is a revenue receipt. The second difference, a receipt in a receipt in substitution of source of income is a capital receipt, whereas a receipt in substitution of income is a revenue receipt. Then point number 3, compensation received for losses of business is a capital receipt, whereas compensation received for loss of profit is a revenue receipt. Then point number 5, insurance money received for loss of capital asset is a capital receipt, whereas insurance money received for the loss of trading asset is a revenue receipt. Okay, it is a finished my title. So once again, I telling about you. So what today I discuss means I very clearly discuss for you what is income tax. So first of all, I discuss about the introduction of income tax. The introduction of income tax, I think the 1961 and 1962, then Financial Act, then case law, then circular and notifications. So everything it is called only introductions of income tax. Then we discuss about the, then already we discussed about the, what is the previous year, what is the assessment year, then who's the assessee, then types of assessee, then what is income, then what is a casual income, then we discuss about the who's a person, then finally we discuss about the what is the difference between capital receipt and revenue receipts. So, okay, thank you to all of you. So once again I say to thank you.